Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's LinkedIn Live. I'm your host, Erin Austin, and I do these every last Wednesday of the month at 10:30 Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And so I am, for those of you who are new, I am a copyright lawyer and I help experts with corporate clients decouple their income from their time. And I do that. My tools of choice are copyrights and contracts, which brings us to our presentation today. Little did I know 2, maybe 3 years ago, when I first heard about AI, that I would become something of an AI expert once it became clear how integral copyright law issues are with AI. And so, one thing, couple of housekeeping things. Please feel free to put your comments in the notes as well in the comment box as soon as you think of them. There is a little bit of delay between when you put them in and when they get to me. It can be surprisingly long, so don't wait until the end. Unfortunately, because I cannot see you, I won't know that you have a question unless it pops up before I've sat here looking at the camera for too long. So feel free to put those in as soon as you think of them, and I'll try to address them. I was waiting for this to go live, and I was looking at this first slide, and I'm like, what every business owner needs to know, and and the answer is yes, everyone does need to know this. But I was thinking about AI and copyright, and that there's a number of legal issues involved with AI, and copyright is just one of them. It's a very important one, but it's not the only one. And so I wish that this had said AI and the law and what every business owner needs to know about copyright. And as I thought about that, there are a number of topics regarding AI and the law for me to discuss with you. And so this will certainly be a series of LinkedIn Lives where I kind of pluck, each petal off of the AI flower to address a different issue in each session. So please stay connected with me if you aren't already, so you know when I'll be doing additional LinkedIn Lives. The other thing is this is being recorded and it will be available on my LinkedIn profile. I also have a YouTube channel under my business Think Beyond IP. And when I feel like it, sometimes I release LinkedIn Lives as podcast episodes for my podcast Scaling Expertise, where I interview other experts who have successfully scaled their businesses and can also teach you a few things about scaling yours. So now with that, let's get into the topic. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions that everyone is on the same page about what AI generated content is. And if you're not, put it in the comments, and maybe I'll get to it. But I'm going to make the assumption that we know when we're using the Chat GPTs of the world, Gemini, Claude, you'll find it when you're using AI companion on Zoom, when you're using Otter, all these things that use AI technology, machine learning technology to process content somehow. And so, what the big issue is, when we're using AI to generate content, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way, so don't think anything that I say here is anti AI. The issue that we're going to talk about today is whether or not can be copyrighted. And what does copyright law do? Why do we care about AI and copyright law? So, copyright law, and this is my big thing, the reason I focus on copyrights as opposed to other forms of intellectual property is that it protects your money makers. It protects the materials that you use to create value for your clients. So, your training materials, speeches, workbooks, PowerPoint presentations, podcast episodes, those pieces of original content that come from you, that's what copyright law protects. And so it gives you exclusive rights to reproduce those materials, distribute them, and also to license them to other people. So, accordingly, that protects any unauthorized use. And that means any use that was not authorized by you as the copyright owner, because that's what exclusive means, that only you can grant anyone the rights to use or to reuse your content. So, what works are covered? It covers original works of human authorship. And I've kind of, given you a hint about why this becomes an issue in connection with AI generated content. And I have done a number of lives as well as a lot of content regarding more details about copyright law. So please check those out if you need a little more basic understanding of U.S. copyright law. But generally, again, it protects use and reuse of your original content. It would be the easiest way to put that. But it does have to be original, and it has to be authored by a human in order for it to be protected by U.S. copyright law. And everything will be U.S. copyright law too, by the way. And so, how does that affect us when we are in an AI world? So, in the U.S. Copyright Office has been playing catch up with AI generated content. As you can imagine, things are happening very, very quickly, and the U.S. Copyright Office has been, asking for opinions, collecting opinions from different stakeholders, such as holders of large bodies of work, people who practice in the area, organizations that have interests in protecting original ideas, and those who have an interest in making sure they're as available as possible. So they've been doing a lot of kind of background on how they should come down on how AI generated content will be protected under under copyright law. So in January, I believe it was the 29th, they did release a report regarding human authorship, and that won't be the only one, because human authorship is only one element of copyrightability, if you want to use that term. So there were a few takeaways that I want to talk about today. So first, just if you have content, AI generated, whatever, you put your prompt into ChatGPT and it spits out a beautiful article for you, it is not eligible for copyright protection. Why? Because it's not original and it's not human generated. As I record this in February of 2025, AI is still not considered human. Come ask me again if I'm able in a year or two. But right now, AI generated content is not considered to be human authorship, and therefore it is not eligible for copyright protection. And so it's easy when we're just taking the output, and we know that's AI generated, not eligible for copyright protection. But there are some nuances that we're going to talk about as well. One of the things is regarding creative prompting. So sometimes you just put in, write an article about, leadership and development, but sometimes you put in something that's pretty specific. There's a whole new career called prompt engineering. And, there are certainly lots of courses about how to become better at prompting and how to keep asking questions so that the answer gets better and better and better. And so, but it doesn't matter how professionally or creatively you prompt and prod and get that AI generated content to be exactly what you want it to be, that will never equate to human authorship. So long as it's going into the black box that is AI and it's doing its magic and creating that output will not be copyrightable. However, there are circumstances where uh, AI generated content includes some elements that are copyrightable. So first, let's say we use AI to create a some output, and in that output, we can identify the human created portions of it. So I have the example here of a script. And so someone actually asked me about this a couple weeks ago, where they had a script and they were using AI to create a video. And I saw this. Where did I see this? I think it was on YouTube where someone was, using an example where they'd created an entire video. It was a cooking video about how to, they put in the ingredients and the instructions and then asked the AI tool, which I don't recall what it was, to create entire video that shows this recipe being created. And so let's say you have a script and you are using a tool that will, create a voice, create an avatar, do the video, and do the whole thing. The video itself would not be eligible for copyright protection, but your script, assuming it's original and written by you. And so the part of it that is still perceptible, unaltered authorship that can be separated from the non human expression would still be eligible for copyright protection. Uh, Also, if you have a larger work and included in it is some 100% AI generated content that would not make the entire work ineligible for copyright protection. So let's say you are writing a book, you've written the entire book, but you want to add some like scenarios in there. You're writing a book about leadership and development, and you want to put some scenarios in there about, inappropriate workplace interactions. And so you prompt, your AI tool, like write a little vignette about someone, asking about their relationship status, or write a little vignette about someone asking, about, uh, why they came to an event alone or something. I don't know. I seem to be stuck on that. So, and so it creates these little vignettes, and they're very good. And you just put them, you put them in a box, and you say you have your vignettes, and you put them in your book. The fact that you have those AI generated vignettes in your book would not mean you cannot copyright your entire book. Your entire book is still copyrightable. However, those vignettes would not be eligible for copyright protection. We're not talking about copyright registration today, but I did know, I guess we are. I did notice recently when I was registering something for a client with the Copyright Office that they had added specific references to AI generated content, which was not there the last time I looked. So it happened sometime in the last 6 months. That they now will say, is there any AI generated content in there? And that you would need to there kind of declare what portions of that work that you want to register is AI generated, and therefore you're not claiming copyright ownership of those portions. And then also, when you start with AI generated content and then modify it, my experience has been most content does not come out of an AI tool ready to go. Either it's just wrong, frankly, it might be wrong, or it doesn't sound like you, or it doesn't, have the detail that you need, or isn't specific enough to your circumstances. So we'll in those circumstances, we will, add our own human creativity to it. And so, unfortunately, there's no formula. There's no like, okay, it's a 1,000 word article, and 500 of the words were created by me and 500 of the words were created by AI, and so therefore it is eligible for protection. It will be determined on a case-by-case basis, like so many things. Let's see, Kim has a question here. What if you write original copy and ask AI to revise, simplify, etc. your existing copy? So yeah, so that is what we've been using when we use things like Hemingway and other tools like that that help us edit. And so AI assisted, when we use AI as an assistant to help us, revise or proofread or punch up our work. Generally, it would be considered copyrightable. Again, it would be on a case-by-case basis, but so it would depend on how much revision they're doing. So if it was, punching up and, proofreading and that kind of thing, it should not interfere with its copyrightability. But again, it's a matter of degree. Yeah. Original copy. So your original copy will always be eligible for copyright protection. And so let's say you write that 1,000-word article and you put the entire 1,000-word article into ChatGPT and you ask it to, make it more appropriate for a 10th grade audience, let's say. So whether or not that AI generated version would be copyrightable would depend on how much it changes it, but your original copy would still be eligible. Kim also asked, do we need to cite that we are doing that with clients and others? All right, that is a very good question. It is a topic for another day, but it really is an ethical issue. It might not be with your clients. It might be a contractual issue with your clients, so you need to read your client agreements. But if you are, writing an article that you are going to put on your website and it is 100% written by AI, that becomes a question for you about how you feel about putting your name on it. It's not illegal for you to do that. You have rights in that output and you can leverage that output in any way that you would like to. So I look at it as, if it was something that came out of AI that was revolutionary, if that could ever happen, and you said, you put your name on that as like being the genius behind this idea and it wasn't yours, like that sounds a little bit like plagiarism to me. Again, that's, an ethical issue. But it's not illegal. But for your clients, you need to know what your obligations are regarding those deliverables. And there will be an upcoming LinkedIn Live about our obligations to clients. All right, so the reason this is so important, obviously, we all use AI. I use AI. Hopefully, everyone on this call is using it. Don't be afraid to use it. It is a very powerful tool, but you do have to be careful about how you use it. You do have to use it responsibly and ethically. So you make sure that what you are creating is protectable if you need it to be protectable. Um, you know, if you use it for social media posts, I'm not worried about creating social media posts, right? Or protecting it from third parties. If we're using it, to create, and for client work as well, maybe you've been hired to create social media posts for your clients and they're fine with you using AI, or to write, press releases or something like that, or even to write, say, an employee manual, something that, they're not going to be that worried about. So that would depend. But we do want to make sure we are aware of how we're using it. So, because that will determine, what type of AI we're using and how much we need to add to it and alter it to make sure that it is protectable. getting completely ahead of myself here. But so that brings us to our action steps. So, with respect to your current AI generated content, if you have works that you want to have the rights of a copyright owner, you want to be able to control who can copy it, who can distribute it, who can use it, then it needs to be have enough human content in there in order to reach that threshold. So if you have things that you want to have those protections on, make sure you're looking at that. Going forward, as you're using AI content, AI in your work, either for internally or for your client work, use it as a starting point. Don't use it as the final product. My personal opinion on that, again, is, typically it needs some refinement anyway. And so hopefully we are doing that. And my most important tip is that you never use AI to create your money makers. Back to those money makers. They are your workshops, your workbooks, your training materials, your speeches, the things that you want, the things that you're using to create value in your business, value for your clients, your money makers. You want to make sure that those are eligible for copyright protection. And that applies not just for you, but also for your clients. Further to your question, Kim, if your clients are, you're delivering something to them like a advertising campaign or something that they will be using to drive revenue, they absolutely want to own and control that deliverable. So we want to make sure that we're not using AI for that either. So that is what I wanted to cover with you guys today. If you have any other questions, I'll sit here and stare at the camera for a few more seconds to see if anything else comes through. But otherwise, if I don't get it before I log off, you can, if you put it in here, it will show up on the LinkedIn post as well. So Laura, if you create scripts that clients taking an online course can use with, say, ChatGPT, are your scripts copyrightable? So generally, by scripts, I assume you mean the prompts that they would use for ChatGPT. And generally, prompts are considered instructions. They could have enough creativity that they would rise to the level of something that's copyrightable. So, but if we're talking about prompts, generally prompts are considered instructions, and instructions are not considered copyrightable works. Things like recipes, by the way, how to play a card game, things like that. Generally are not considered copyrightable. But if it's something creative, like the example of, the prompts, the example of, taking one of your blog posts and turning it into a longer article, that blog post would still be copyrightable. All right. Well, again, I might even be changing the cadence of these LinkedIn Lives because I'm really excited about covering these AI topics. So maybe more frequently than monthly. And if so, keep an eye well, connect with me and make sure I'll let you know when I'm going to go live again to talk about some more AI and the law issues. Thank you so much.